Okay, so now I'm going to show a video on how to make bread. And this is just for fluffy French bread. There's not really much ingredients that goes into this. It's flour, yeast, salt, sugar, warm water, and olive oil. And I like to use the extra virgin olive oil because it makes the bread taste a little bit better. So right now I'm just going to show how to make the yeast starter for the bread. So we've got 1 tablespoon yeast, and you want to mix it with 2.5 cups warm water. Okay, so that was 2 cups, and then there's half. Okay. And then you also want to mix in 1/4 cup sugar. That's very important to yeast rising and the warmth of the water. There's 1/4 cup sugar. And you don't want to overmix it, but just kind of till the yeast dissolves. And you can see that pretty good. Alright. And then we'll let that sit there until it starts to bubble. It's pretty neat to watch yeast do its thing and come alive. See how it's activating? It's the sugars. Won't take long. Okay, so 1/4 cup olive oil. And my measuring cup is kind of wonky. For some reason it only goes to 1/2 cup. I mean, it starts at 1/2 cup. Okay, and in a bigger bowl, I'm not going to add any flour yet. And we need a tablespoon of salt. Tablespoon. I don't know if you can hear the birds chirping. It's really nice. I like to hear the birds chirp. Okay, see how it's bubbling now? I'm sure you can tell it's doing something. It's changing. Wow, it's starting to change pretty fast. Okay, so I'll go ahead and put my tablespoon of salt in my big bowl. And here in a minute we'll switch to mixing because that looks like it's almost ready. So my favorite thing to use, I don't use a bread maker. I use my hands because, I don't know, I think it just makes the bread taste better knowing that you mixed it with your hands. So I mix it with a wooden spoon first. I add in the flour gradually, and then I add the flour like a cup at a time because it takes 6 cups of flour to make this, and it makes 2 big loaves of bread. Or you can put it into fourths and make smaller loaves with it. You can make hoagie rolls. I've also made breadsticks with it, but I also have a breadsticks recipe. Maybe I'll do a video on that. Man, that's bubbling really, really good. I think I could probably go ahead and use it. What do you think? Alright, and I think other than the flour, that's all I need to add, so we'll switch over. We'll add this. Oh my goodness, that is way out of focus. There we go. Sorry. Still new to this. This is only like my 10th, 9th video. And I've had to do some redos because, boy, I didn't know what I was doing. Okay, so there we go with all that. Okay, so now we're going to That's a cup of flour, so 1 cup. Just go ahead and mix this right up. I want to get all the clumps out. Maybe this flour needs to be sifted. I had it in the freezer for a bit. Looks like it's staying pretty clumpy. Well, I don't normally have this problem. I'm just gonna have to slowly smash the bits of flour. Okay. I'm just gonna use this. Okay, so here's the next one. And I'm just gonna do this until all the flour falls into there. This is sifting the flour. I don't normally have to do this, but since I kept this stuff in the freezer, it's kind of clumpy. So normally it's not. See how much finer it got? Hopefully that'll be better. Now we're on our 3rd cup. Third cup of flour. I'm just going to sift that in there. Of course, you can half the recipe up if you don't want to make, you know, all the loaves. And just mix it. See how it's starting to mix. And then I just mix it up with a spoon until I can't mix it anymore. Wooden spoon works the best for some reason. Spatula just really sticks to it pretty bad. Not really sure why, but... Okay, now we're on our 4th cup of flour, and normally after about the 4th or 5th cup, I usually have to start mixing it with my hands because it gets pretty crazy. And this is our 5th cup. Still mixing, gotta go kind of slow because we don't want to make our flour go all over the place. Okay. Alright, it's getting harder to mix. Now we're going to be on our 6th cup of flour. And I better hurry because those muffins are almost done and I gotta turn this off and make a muffin video while I'm doing a bread video. What a multitasker I am. Okay, I'm almost done mixing this. And then we'll let this rise, or proof. Looks like I need to add a little more flour, and I'm about to have to start mixing it with my hand. So I'm just gonna sprinkle in some. And you don't want it to be this sticky, like a batter. You want it to be more like a bread dough, where it's like not shiny anymore and elastic, and you can like pick it up in your hands and handle it, and it's not all gooey feeling. That's what we're going for before I pick it up. And this bowl is big enough. I should have used my bigger bowl, but this bowl is big enough for me to mix it in here. Okay, so we just want a little bit more. So this takes more than 6 cups of flour. I buy the big bags of flour, even though I don't really bake a whole lot anymore. I might get back into it. Alright, so we're starting to get some elasticity. And it's starting to come together. A little bit more flour. Okay, so now I think I'm gonna get my hands dirty. I think this is my favorite part about making bread is the hands dirty part. Oh, you know what I didn't add? Oil. Duh. It's been sitting there this whole time. You should add your oil in sooner than that. You should add your oil in like pretty quick. I think I heard the timer for the muffins, so. Okay, so you see how I'm mixing. And I have to keep looking at the camera to make sure. Okay, so add a little bit more flour in there. It's sticking on my hands. You just rub your hands together and it'll come off. And wash the rest off in the sink. Come off! Okay. So you just want to knead it pretty good. Like this. Get everything off the sides of the bowl if there's anything there. Keep doing this. There's a little more flour, it's still kind of sticky. And this always makes some really big, soft pieces of bread. I love this recipe. I got it a while ago, so don't ask me where I got it from. Somewhere on the internet. One of those cooking websites. And I've been making it ever since. I think this is the best French bread recipe I've made. And I've been making bread for a long time, since I was 18, and I'm 35, so. I mean, not 18. I guess 20 is when I started making bread. Sorry. About when I had my first kitty, my kiddo. And he's a big boy now. Okay, so you just get all that stuff off your hands. Mix it in. Need just a little more flour. It is still really sticky. Alright. Trying not to overmix this. Now I gotta go get muffins out of the oven real quick. Alright, still mixing, mixing. Okay, that looks pretty good. So you just kind of want to zoom out. Okay, so you just kind of want to add more flour to that. It's still really plasticky. This is gonna make some big bread. Now let's put it in the other bowl. Okay, so I just kind of form it like this. Pour some olive oil in my hand. Grease the top of it. Turn it over. Grease the bottom of it so it comes out of the bowl easier. And then I'm going to cover it. And I'll let it sit for about an hour. Okay, so it has risen for about 40 minutes. It's pretty warm in here, so that did not take long at all. So what we do is we just punch it down like this. And then I separate it. But really I'm going to be separating it again. I think what I'm going to do is make a loaf and then make some smaller loaves. Alright, so now you let that sit for like another 10 minutes and then I'll come back. Crunchy loaves saran wrap. I don't let it stick to the bread because I've had a hard time getting saran wrap off of it and completely ruined my loaves. Okay, so now I'm going to show making the loaf and putting it on the pan. So I just put some flour on my hands, and I know I separated the dough, but it already re-stuck back together. So you don't really want to knead it too much. You just want to kind of, if you want it to be round, you can make it round, or You can shape it like an actual loaf. And I put this side down. And actually, we can kind of do this. And we'll turn into a loaf like that. Alright. Okay. Not terribly complicated, so I'm just going to put some lines in it to help it kind of split while it's forming. Alright, and then I'm going to stick that in. Well, the oven is still hot, so I'm just going to leave that one up here. Oops. And then now to get the other pan, and I'm going to make little loaves out of this. So I guess we'll do like 4 small loaves out of this. Let's see. I want to make them as even as possible, you know? So I just kind of form them. You can kind of roll it in your hands to shape it. Kind of make it a little bit longer there. And I don't put butter or anything else back on it because I don't know why, but it always makes my bread go flat to retouch it after I've done this to it. So you either put oil on it now, or I just put butter on it after it gets done cooking, and it turns out just fine. You want them spaced evenly apart. They are going to rise. Flour. I'm making a mess, but that is okay because you're not having fun unless you're getting messy, right? So you just want to knead it a little bit. Still, I'm keeping the seams underneath. And really, there's a completely different way to do this, but right now I've got a bunch of stuff all over my counter, so you can just kind of shape it to the shape you want. These are going to be some cute little sandwich hoagies. Or maybe they'll turn out bigger than that, but we'll have some sandwiches. Not tonight, but tonight we're having, well, that's another video. Okay, maybe I'll stagger them out like that. Make some more marks in them. Really, you're supposed to do this with a sharp knife, but I'm not going to leave the video again, so we'll just do this. Okay, so we're back for a minute, and this is what the bread looks like whenever it's risen. Got a lot bigger than it was, and I let it rise a little bit too long because I was doing chores. But that's okay, it's about 35 minutes, 40 minutes. So, I guess I'll cook the little loaves first because I don't have enough room in my oven to cook both pans at the same time. So there we go. And then I think you set the timer for 25 minutes. We'll check it after that. Alright. Okay, so we had 5 minutes left on the cooking time. But I checked it and it looks like it was done. So for these smaller loaves, I would say about 20 minutes. I'm going to put the bigger loaf in there. And for the bigger loaf, we're going to do 30 minutes. So I forgot to mention this, but I did cut some butter and put butter on the tops of the loaves as soon as they came out so it would melt. And then I put this Everything Bagel Einstein's Brothers seasoning on it. It comes out so good for sandwiches. Look at that. Or whatever you want to eat it with. It's tasty. Okay, so this loaf is about to be done. Looks pretty done to me. I'm going to go ahead and pull it out. Okay. I'm going to put butter all over it. Butter. Careful not to burn your hand. It is hot. Putting butter on the outside of it right after it's done just seems to make it super moist. We'll just let that sit there. Alright, so that's done. I'm going to turn the oven off. And we'll just let this ooey gooey butter melt. Yummy. Okay. And I don't have any everything's bagel for this one, so. And I don't recommend cutting it open while it's still hot. You are supposed to wait for it to cool off because it's still super soft. And I think I did pull this one out a little too early, but that's okay because I wanted it to be really soft. And it is really good. And that's how you make bread.